Back, you may be aware that most recently a nativity scene was booted off of an Air Force base. This is, in my view, very troubling situation. Attacks on freedom of religion, attacks on holiday Christmas displays around Christmas time are becoming all too common. Joining us now is the senior research director at the group that was instrumental in getting this nativity scene removed. As a matter of fact, a report out today says that Mickey Weinstein, the president of the group, immediately upon learning of this nativity scene, telephoned the Pentagon, and exactly 2 hours and 15 minutes later, the baby wrapped in swaddling clothes had been hauled away. So I don't know what the influence that this Military Religious Freedom Foundation has at the Pentagon, but apparently it's quite a lot. So we welcome in, as I mentioned, Chris Rodda. Hello, Chris.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. So what's your objection to a nativity scene of the baby Jesus on a military base during Christmas time?
Well, it's actually not an objection everywhere on a military base. The problem is always it's the location. Absolutely no problem with putting nativity scenes outside chapels, in appropriate places that are places where religious stuff should be found, okay? The problem is when they're put up in areas that are like common public areas. And even like just a few days ago, we had someone contact us from Malmstrom Air Force Base saying, "Oh, there's a nativity scene by the chapel," and we emailed them back, "No problem," because that's all we've ever asked is that they do these religious displays in the vicinity of the chapel. And it's not that they can't have them. The problem is where they're putting them.
Well, what's the problem with where they're putting them? Why do they have to be in proximity to the chapel?
Well, I mean, things that people don't consider. Consider parents of non-Christian parents, okay, of non-Christian children. We had somebody comment on something about just who was at that base, that all they wanted to do was take their kid for a walk in that park, and they're bombarded with questions from the kid. Well, everybody else celebrates Christmas. Why don't we celebrate Christmas?
You're kidding me, right? You're kidding me, right?
I'm absolutely
all right.
not
So when they
kidding you.
walk by, and so those same parents, when they go anywhere and see a Christmas tree, are going to have the same questions from the same kids. No.
There's some places where it's obviously unavoidable, okay. But when it comes to a government installation doing it, then it's avoidable, and the
But why would anybody want to avoid telling their kid Christmas is for Christians, we're Jewish or we're Muslim or we're Buddhist, and here's what we celebrate? Why would you want to squelch that freedom of expression?
No, because the parents shouldn't be put in the position of having to spend what time they have with their kids. Like we had similar complaints with the Armed Forces Network.
I'm sure you're all for sex education.
Where...
I'm sure you're all for sex education in our schools to 6-year-olds.
Well,
what kind of question does that
force?
force?
That has absolutely nothing to do with it.
Sure, it has everything to do with it. Everything to do with it, because parents are then put in a position of having to explain to a 6-year-old, what homosexual sex is, or what AIDS is, or what HIV is, or what transgender is. You have a problem with any of that?
I honestly don't know enough about what's taught to 6-year-olds.
Would you have an objection to a 6-year? Would you have an objection to a 6-year-old in a public school being taught about transgender?
I would not have a problem with teaching that everybody is equal, whatever, not getting in too specific with 6-year-olds. I would not, obviously.
At what age would you get specific? 7, 8, 9, 10?
No, I'm not an educator. I'm not an expert.
Oh, you're not an educator, but yet you have a problem with a problem with the kid asking their mother, "Hey, why don't we celebrate Christmas?" That's problematic to you, though.
Well, let me give you an example, and please don't cut me off. We had a case. We had a one time. It wasn't this year. It was another year where a grandfather who was the grandfather of 2 young twin kids at an army base. Okay, and he was helping the family watch the kids because one of the parents was deployed. The kids attend a public school on the Army base. The kids were crying, upset, because they were going to be having this Christmas party at their public school that was promoted through the public school, and the kids didn't know why they couldn't attend this Christmas party. And yes, they had a little disclaimer at the bottom of the flyers: this is not officially endorsed by the command. Does that make a difference to an 8 or 9-year-old kid? No. The grandfather who's got kids there, who's got a parent deployed, having to deal with that. And he went to a.
I don't understand, but you say don't interrupt.
I
don't understand what deal with what. In other words, they weren't celebrating Christmas.
Deal with upset kids.
Well, wait. Why couldn't they go to the party? Wait. Explain to me, why couldn't they go to the party?
Because they are not being raised as Christians, and it was a religious Christmas.
Really, a religious Christmas party? What were they going to do there? What were they going to do there?
They were going to sing Christmas songs that were religious songs. They were going to, whatever they would
like
do.
What?
I mean,
like what?
Whatever.
I've been to a million Christmas parties. I'm Jewish.
I don't know specifically, obviously.
Yeah, obviously,
exactly
I doubt that there would be anything of a religious nature.
Oh, you don't. You doubt that, hey?
Well, you know what? Let me ask you, are you an atheist?
Am I?
Yes, because, you've written a book called Liars for Jesus, right?
And the foreword to that book is written by a Christian minister.
I don't care. That doesn't mean anything to me. Like, I could say a rabbi wrote my book, and there are left-wing rabbis that are so far off the left cliff. It doesn't mean that just because they're a rabbi, there are nuns for that want to be priests. I mean, are you an atheist?
I don't answer that question.
Oh, you don't answer that question. So you pretend to fight for religious freedom, but you're really an atheist, aren't you?
No. I did not say I was.
Then why won't you say?
Because it's not.
Why shouldn't we know where your group is coming from here?
Because people's religious beliefs are nobody else's business.
Oh, okay. And you go on.
Let me just tell you, the Murph staff and volunteers are predominantly Christian.
Okay.
Okay.
Right. That doesn't matter to me either, because you got to know.
We have two ordained Christian ministers on.
So are you pretending to defend?
We have three. We have a chaplain who.
So what do you say to people who say you're pretending to defend the law when you really disdain Christianity?
No, it's not. It's got nothing to do with disdaining Christianity.
Do you disdain Christianity?
Do I know?
No. Do you like it?
I disdain any religion being forced upon people. But do you know that of the
Chris, I'm out of time.
I
am out of time.
I have a point to make here.
Let her talk until the break. Go ahead.
Please let me make this point. Of the 41 airmen who complained about the Nativity Scene thing at Shaw, 39 were Christians, both Protestant and Roman Catholic. So this is not an anti-Christian.
All right, numbers don't mean anything to me. Chris Rodda from Military Religious Freedom. Thank you.